Since a lot of you requested, we are going to create a login and sign up, but this time with Fiber, just as we did with Gin. And the great thing about Fiber that it is even easier than Gin, and I would say ready for a production environment. I want to mention that if you are completely new to Go or have no idea what MVC, middleware or routing are, take a look at this video. As it explains the concepts, then you can create the to-do app we're doing today with Fiber. Okay, what is different this time in the system design is that we won't be storing the token in the database and having to update it and keep track of that. We will store it in session cookies, which is the browser storage, and we will have a logout right this time. When token expires, users will be logged out. This is also great because we won't have to query the database too much, which sometimes slows down applications. So let's start with the usual Go mode init, and the name of this will be to-do app, and of course we have our main.go. If you've been here for a while, you know that I usually start with setting up the database connection. Let's have our db.go file. So we're going to work with MongoDB database, which is pretty easy to work with. If you've never done this, please check this video and my Notion notes about it. An important topic that I constantly remind you of is to create an env file for your sensitive information. So our Mongo URL will come from there, and in an env file here, we'll have the Mongo URI, and for the name of the database, it will also come from there. So you go here, you create the env file, now in main, that's where we load the file. And again, you'd have to import this. I mean, if you've been on the channel for a while, you know that we have done this a lot of times. So let's log a couple of messages here, and now let's go explore Fiber. To do this, we're going to go to the Fiber documentation, and as you can see, it is as simple as what's mentioned here. You have 4 lines of code and your server is ready to be used. We will name our function setApp that returns the Fiber app. We are going to write the same thing we saw in the documentation, return that, and test this from the main file. In my env, I have written the port, which is also port 3000. So you write column 3000 in your env file. Since we just want to test Fiber, we do not need to start the database in Docker or in anything because we're still not using it. And awesome, this is created. It was so simple yet very efficient, and this is why Fiber is appreciated by a lot of developers. We can now go and create our models and set up the rest of the things needed for our to-do list. Let's have our folder models. We would need two models, the users and the tasks. Like we have declared models before, it's a struct and it will have three fields, the ID, the email, and the password. We are keeping it simple. The ID is a MongoDB primitive object. Just you have to pay attention to the codes here and the spaces. And we will do the same for the rest. So the email is a string, of course. And here we will not be sending our password as part of the JSON. We'll just leave it empty here for now. And of course, don't forget to import this. Now let's do the same for the tasks model. So if you think about it, a task will have a status. It can be complete or incomplete. And I think it's better if we create a proper struct for this. We will complete our model now. It will have, again, very simple things, just the ID, it will have a description, the status we just created, and the user. To know, of course, which user created which task, so we reference the user from the database using the ID, and that's why the type is the MongoDB primitive object. We're really keeping things simple here just because the main goal is to see how to work with Fiber. Okay, so great. This time, as I mentioned, we're going to be using the JWT token, but we're also using cookies. So last time we also created a function that updates the JWT token. This time we will have a JWT secret in our env file instead, and we are going to run this command that will generate that secret, and you go paste it into your env file. So from Fiber, we are going to get a body request, which will have the email and password we will work with. And this is why we can create a request struct. Then we will have three functions, the register, the login, and the logout, with the same signature. And I know all of them will use the request body. That's why I'm creating a function that we can call from the REST and it will return the body. I will be doing it here in this file, but it could have been better to create a folder named helpers, for example, and you define the function there. Now, for registering the user, Well, we will need to see if maybe the user already exists. So we will go look up the username, which is the email, in the database first before registering it. At this point, I would say everything is the same as before when you use Gin. But then you see how getting the request body in this nice format using Fiber was easier and just more natural to be working with. And here we just compare the value there in the database with the value we have from the request. Now, if that did not fail, means the user does not exist, then we hash the password using the bcrypt package. We format everything given the MongoDB standard and insert it into the database. If there has been an error, then we will throw a fiber.status internal server error. If not, then we are registered successfully. In here, we'll write the same code to look for the user in the database, but this time it's when we can't find it, we throw the error. Now we compare the two passwords given the same bcrypt package. Then in our token, which we will pass the user ID and add an expiration date, and we sign it with our JWT key. If that fails, we take care of the error, and then we add them to our cookies using fiber.cookie. And finish with the success message since we have taken care of all errors. Finally, for the logout, this is so easy. All there is to do is remove those values from the cookies. Our auth routes are grouped under auth. We call here our controller for each route. And in our middleware, we will look for cookies using our JWT. If our token string is empty, then we were not registered or maybe logged out, so we can't go that route. We will use a JWT package to parse the token. If there's any problem with it, we handle the error. Now we check its expiration using our claims. And do c.next means now we can go to the route we call. I can now move to creating the controllers for the task. So we'll start with the same working with user controllers. Our request body needs the title, the description, and status instead. We get our body request from Fiber context and populate all these fields as a MongoDB document and then insert it. In get, we have to check if the user was registered, because if you're not registered, you cannot create a task. Then parse the data that is sent to us. And that's it. The final part is the route. The controllers here need all to be protected by the middleware, because if you are not registered, you should not access them at all. So we will add the middleware to the whole group. And let's go try this now. If you don't know how to work with Docker to start the database, check this video. I have also added my Notion documentation for the whole package. To test these, let's go to Postman and choose post there, go row and then data, choose JSON and add an email and a password of your choice. I sort of forgot about this. So by default, when we just created a task, unless we specify it, it should default to incomplete. Our tasks are created successfully. Let's try this now when we log out. And as you can see, we can no longer create tasks. So thank you very much for following along. I hope you have found this video useful, and please, if you have more requests, just drop them in the comments.